Welcome to the Grandstand Golf Podcast. I am Kevin Bapty, and I'm joined as always by Craig.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And Adam.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Adam, why don't you give us a quick recap of the Houston Open?
Yeah, so coming down the stretch on Sunday, we had Carlos Ortiz take the lead with world-class players DJ, Brooks, Matsuyama, and Lowry clipping at his heels. But Ortiz was clutch down the stretch and didn't give any opening to the chasers. He hammered home a birdie on 18 and ended up winning by 2. Guys, I had Ortiz as my sleeper at 160 to 1. I know you follow my picks, so what are you guys betting your riches on?
Well,
I mean,
I got some hard news for you.
I might not be following your picks quite as closely as you were hoping.
Man,
I'm regretting it, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's me that's the one losing out here. What a gem that was. 160 to 1. I would be swimming in riches had I followed that. But
so here's the thing.
Good pick.
Here's the thing. I did pick him as my sleeper, but the field was pretty stacked, so I wasn't that confident. So I actually just hedged it with a top 20, which only paid out 4.5 to 1. So it wasn't actually that good of a weekend for me. But hey, I love to see it. It was a great close for him on Sunday.
That's where you got to go first, top 10 and top 20, and then if they hit, you get the riches.
Hey, I'm still learning. Okay, that's a learning moment for me.
Yeah. Craig, so your play's the stack, eh?
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, the problem is it takes away if you then get only your top 20, then it takes away a little bit because you had to pay for all 3. But yeah.
But when you're as confident in your picks as you are, then yeah, like I
want the returns when they really hit.
So is that what you did with your Lee Westwood sleeper this week?
No, but let's get back off of us and back to Carlos Ortiz. I was an awesome win, I think. Yeah. So
yeah,
you get a lot of first time winners on tour, and it's at the Barracuda or the Bermuda or one of these ones where it's not the strongest field out there. But going toe to toe with DJ and Hideki. I mean, DJ was the one it felt like really it was those two going toe to toe.
And it was a strong field. A lot of top players in the world were there, getting their final tune-up before Augusta. And it turned out to be, I think, more of a tournament than a lot of us thought it would be.
Yeah. Also, I mean, so cool to see a guy get his first win and how much that means to him and how emotional he is compared to DJ just knocking off another one before it heads off to the master,
I need some of those. I think I switched my pick to over with DJ, so I need a few more of those tallies to come here, though. I'm looking for 40 or something, I think.
Kidding, the win total. But, I mean, I completely agree with you, Craig. Like, you just kind of tally up what this win was. It was huge guys chasing him. It was a bogey-free round for Ortiz on Sunday. I mean, like, we often talk about if somebody kind of fell into a win or they, like, really got and took it and won. And he just won, man. Like, he looked great.
Yeah. I mean, great ball striker, and he just had the putter going this week.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think about the course, Adam?
I mean... Well, so with that... Sorry, I'm going to interrupt, because with that bogey-free round that you're talking about, I think a lot of courses, really where we have these birdie fests, a bogey-free round isn't the most impressive, but it really is at this course, and because of how hard it played. But yeah, take it away, Adam. Tell me what you think.
I mean, I thought the course was really cool. I loved that. I mean, I think Brooks maybe got a little bit too much love as kind of a quote unquote architect. But the redesign looked really cool. Not that I really knew much about it before, but it played hard. And I feel like a lot of these, nowadays with these players, we'll see 20 under, mid 20 under win. And to have these guys shoot over par on the opening day, a couple of them finish over 10 under. It's really cool. I mean, it was tricky. The greens are incredibly firm. If you're in the rough, it was really hard to get it close to the bin, let alone like stay on the green. I thought it was a great course. I hope it's in the rotation for a while.
Yeah, I agree. I think it makes a few arguments. It makes the argument for all these shave down banks because it really is so demanding of the approach play. I think that also reinforces accuracy off the tee. I forget, we were talking about this on our Showdown video yesterday, but one of the players, and I can't remember off the top who it was talked about how important it was to hit fairways not because the rough was super long or anything, but because you couldn't spin it out of the rough. So then you're hitting into these greens that can be very tough to hold. And so that's a way to make fairways matter, is to make it so that you need to have that control going into the greens.
Yeah. I think these are the courses that for me should be the model of what the PGA Tour should do. It helps rein in. I mean, I know there are a lot of big hitters at the top there, but that's just the way golf is. Golf has always rewarded guys that hit it far. But
exactly, they'll have an advantage anywhere.
Exactly, but I think it was a really good test. I totally agree about the tight mowing on the slopes. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, I don't know, it's almost lame when you have these greens and right at the edge of the greens is just like long rough. It just like stops the ball right away, and then they chip it out of the rough. Like they're good enough that even if it's deep stuff, they can hack it out. Whereas if it rolls down these banks, it requires a lot different kind of talent set, I think, to be able to
I think
get
more
up and down from those
creativity
spots.
and more
exactly
more shots coming into play. You can kind of drive it into the hill. You can get it high and go over, like all these different ways. You can putt it. Like there's so many different
and
ways
huge
to play
risk rewards with those shots.
Yeah.
The other thing too, they always talk about the main thing that the players want is for the course to differentiate who was playing well, and I think that's the thing that this course really did. And you see that with the names at the top when you see this field and you get DJ and Hideki and Brooks and Hatton wasn't too far off there. You know that it's one that's rewarding good play because those are the best players.
So let's dive a little deeper into some of those big names. Why don't we start with Johnson?
Just one other thought on the course before we move on. But I think on Wednesday, I talked about Brooks kind of having a hand in this. Like he's kind of like the player consultant. But I do love the fact that it is a municipal course, and Brooks really kind of mentioned that in his pre-tournament press conference, saying we need to play courses where people see us. Little kids see us and they can go out and play the same course or play similar courses.
Or 30 or 40 bucks, not for 150.
We talk about it all the time, but you need to grow the game and like move beyond just the golf stereotypical crowd. So I loved hearing that from Brooks. I mean, one of the probably more influential PGA players out there. So
yeah, and just on that, before we do get into the names and what it means for next week, he was asked about the course after his round today, and first thing he did was throw the credit to is it Tom Doak? I know
Tom Doak,
Tom Doak.
That's right.
Because Brooks knows that he's the one that did all of the heavy lifting. Brooks is the name that's involved with it and part of the promoting the redesign and all that kind of stuff. So I just think Brooks gets so much flack for his handling of the media a lot of the time, and I just think he really did a good job of making it not about him, about the course, and about the person that it felt like did the most work there.
Yeah. I like the way Brooks has been with the media lately, actually.
I think maybe it's just the media that likes to grumble when he is sassy to them and puts them in their place for stupid questions.
Yeah. That's true enough. Okay, so let's start with Dustin Johnson. He was up there for a while. It kind of looked like he might be early on the front nine. He sprinted ahead there and looked like he might just run away with it. But Ortiz just hung in there. Any thoughts on Johnson, especially heading into next week?
Yeah, well, I mean, he had a lot of rust from his COVID break.
Yeah.
But it shook that off in about 9 holes of golf and managed to come out and look like he was Dustin Johnson of old.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go into the DJ a little bit further along in the pod, but it's so hard to think, like when you see him and he's playing well all the time, but to think of another player that's as good as him, even at his best or at his kind of average days. His average days are just so good.
Yeah. It's true. His floor
he's
is
just so
high.
talented. It's kind of frustrating.
Yeah.
Well, the thing too is that you think of him and you think of he's so long off the tee. He hits shots into greens that you're like, man, he's hitting an iron there or whatever it is. You think of him as like the elite ball striker that he is. But then he's like he's so good around the green, and like early on in his career, around the greens and like wedges into greens was a weakness for him. And he's elite at that now, and so it's like, man, this guy doesn't really have weaknesses.
Yeah, it's true. It seems like the only person who can really beat Dustin is Dustin sometimes. Like
or just the variance of putting. Like putting, exactly. Other people get hot and he has an average round, then
again,
but I can always change things.
I am on the record saying he's going to win the next 6 majors, so he's 0 for 1, but maybe the next 5. I don't know. Who can say? Hideki Matsuyama, Craig, your boy. Got anything you want to say about Hideki?
Well, came out and after 2 other people had set the course record today, he came out there and did he go birdie at the end, or is it just 1 birdie? I forget exactly. But yeah, he came out and tied it with another 63. So he has 3 guys set the course record today. I think there's positive takeaways going into the Masters. And as I was saying on my boys episode, the real thing for Hideki is whether he's going to break through and win a major. So you have to like the fact that he should be in good form. I don't know if Augusta is his bet. Like, I think as a ball striker, he sets up well for it, but the putting is going to remain the Achilles heel. And so, yeah.
How was his putting this week?
He was 11th in putting.
Oh. Well,
he actually putted really well. He was actually positive in stroke seam putting every single day. So, I mean, Hideki can go hot or cold, but to have that consistency, that's good going into Augusta, I think.
Okay, well, how about Brooks Koepka? Adam, I'll start with you. Brooks Koepka was talked about in our Masters preview pod as a fade. He certainly didn't look like he was fade material today, but tell us your thoughts.
And I think I was on the record of saying I think you guys are crazy to fade him. I'd rather fade Bryson.
We'll have to check the tape. I don't remember that. But
to be fair, we faded him on Friday, and then he went 65-65 on the weekend.
I'm telling you, it's the bulletin board material.
Yeah, you must have been listening.
I mean, I don't know what to say about Brooks besides I'm trying to figure out how to somehow play him or bet him next week. Like, you can't write him off at any major. Yeah, if he only had 1 tournament coming in and he was, say, 30th coming off an injury, yeah, there'd be some hesitation. But I think we can move on from the injury, and he clearly looks good. He feels good. He's playing well. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, is the game quite sharp enough to actually win next week? I'm not sure. But it certainly looked good.
But that's what I was trying to say.
So the one note that I don't know if you guys saw this, he had apparently put a new driver in his bag the first 2 days. And so the main thing I was talking about when I was fading him was there's just so much uncertainty with the driver. And then he went back to an old one on Saturday and Sunday. So
interesting.
Maybe, I don't know if this is one that he had played with up until this Thursday. But basically he said, man, if I just would have had that driver in the bag at the start, I would have won this tournament.
That's a good tip. But I tried to say this before on our Masters pod. You don't look for form for Brooks. I mean, he won the Waste Management Open and then won 3 majors. Like, he never just wins whatever PGA Tour event and oh yeah, he's in good form, he's gonna carry that into the PGA and probably win. He's yeah, I'm winning the PGA. I'm coming off a 35th and
I think there's a couple things there. I think he, for quite a while, he has not played a ton of tournaments. Like, he's never been known as a guy that's going to grind 25 tournaments a year. But then also, I think the reality is he is one of these people that it seems like thrives on competition. He's got that alpha male personality that
100%.
He wants it to be a personal battle between him and you. And there's other people that makes them more uncomfortable, So I think that's the reality, is that's always going to be an edge for him in majors.
Right. That's that philosophy is exactly what led me to my sleeper pick next week, Ian Poulter. Also that kind of guy.
They are so similar in their playing styles. Oh my God.
I actually think if people saw them, they wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Or that they played the same sport.
Tyrrell Hatton was up there as well. He's obviously been playing great lately. Since the restart, really. So what are you thinking about his performance this week and what it says about what might happen next week?
I mean, I know he was, I want to say top 15, top 20. I don't know if there's anything that's definitely he's must play. I'm basically the same place I was on him going into this tournament. I think he's in really good form. I think his game is pretty well suited to Augusta. He has pretty good accurate approach play. He's steady, but you don't need to be magnificent off the tee at Augusta. You just need to be accurate. Length always helps, but it needs to. You can't be wild with the driver, and he
sounds
can
like
get
you've
hot.
been maybe doing a deep dive on that by the
Maybe
we got some Augusta course insights for us later, or what?
Yeah, some content in the pipeline. But and then he's one of these guys that I think if he gets hot with his putter, he can go on tears, and so it's really just a matter of if that happens next week.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's pretty much exactly where he was for me going into this week, coming out of this week. He had a strong showing, didn't quite have his A+ game, and didn't really challenge for the win, but looks pretty rock solid to me. Adam, why don't you tell us what you think of Jason Day? A big name, always, he can kind of pop at any time. Strong performance, but I think he had a bad day today, didn't he?
So Hatton improved every day, 71, 70, 67, 65. Jason Day kind of went the other way. He was 67, 68, 67, and then a 71 today. I don't know. I wasn't a believer of Jason Day during his really hot streak in the summer. It does look like he's playing well again. I mean, he's really good around the greens, and I mean, you can that helps a lot for Augusta.
He has played well at the Masters before too. So.
Oh, absolutely.
He really struggled off the tee today. So I think that with Day, it's a little bit the opposite of some of these other top guys, where you feel like the short game's going to be rock solid, and then it's just a matter of whether he can get his ball striking together for the week.
I mean, a lot of these guys, I like to be early on as they're kind of rounding their form, I guess. Like Rory, I feel like I want to be early on, right? I feel like a win is going to come. Jason Day, I'm still hesitant. Like I want to see, I really want him to cement his play before I'm like, okay, yeah, he's back to where he once was.
See, the counter argument to that, I think, is that, well, first off, it depends. Are you talking in say a betting market where you're getting odds and you're just measuring straight against the odds? Or are you talking DFS where you are playing against other people? Because that's where I think someone like Day, who you're like, oh man, he's just not a sexy choice. He hasn't been great of late, but then he ends up with 4% ownership, and you're like, man, I'll take my shots with him.
Yeah. Whereas in the sports book, sometimes he almost seems overpriced because of his name and right. The way kind of the type of finishes he's had. So I hear you, Craig. He's a sneaky play in DFS probably.
It's the unsexy ones sometimes that you want to look for.
Sometimes it's like in those fantasy football drafts when that vet is just sitting there on the board. He's the next auto pick, and everybody's just passing. You're like, you know what? He's not that bad. I'll take it.
Man, Roddy White's
I think Hines Ward can still catch the ball.
Tons of balls.
Hines Ward, that's dating yourself a little bit, Adam, but he was one of my boys back in the day.
It just popped. I liked it.
I wanted to mention my boy Mackenzie Hughes, one of the guys with Hideki Matsuyama that is now tied for the course record. He shot a 63 today. He vaulted up 21 spots into a tie for 7th. So awesome showing for Mackenzie coming into his second start at the Masters. You gotta like to see that as he heads into Augusta. Big day for him. You know what? He was threatening going lower than that too. I think he hit a beautiful shot into 17 to about 6 feet, and he missed the putt, which is shocking. Shocking for Hughes because he's usually dialed on the greens, and then part 18, but he for a second there it looked like he might be threatening 8 under. So love seeing that.
Yeah, and I was just looking at the official world golf rankings, and he moves up to 48th, and nice. So he's inside the top 50. So he's in the Masters next week, based on his win from.
No, he's in the Masters next week.
Based on his win from a while back, wasn't it? From
Punta Cana? Did he win Punta Cana, or did he just finish strong?
He had a win, I want to say fall 2019, somewhere around there. You looking that up?
I don't see his name on the list, to be perfectly honest, but I'm sure I know he's in. I just don't know.
Well, anyways, regardless, if he's in the top 50 come the next cutoff, then he's going to be in it. So regardless, him getting in, he's going to be right on the borderline there. So
he's not in it this next week. Am I crazy here?
No, he is, because Connors and Weir and Hughes, I want to say, we're playing a practice round together next week.
Craig, you want to talk about your boy Sam Burns?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's not my boy. I just wanted to bring him up because I thought it was fairly relevant to this tournament. So Sam Burns, he was our, 18-hole leader? I don't know if he was 18 necessarily, but he was 36 and 54-hole leader. He has jumped out to early leads, and
I don't see Mackenzie Hughes anywhere.
Mackenzie Hughes is in this next week.
Man, your top Canadian next week's really going to suffer.
Yes, I got mixed up here. This is a huge blunder.
Oh, this is going to be great for the year-end blooper reel at our
kidding.
Christmas party.
Did you
I'm just so psyched on my boy.
Lock it in.
I'm certainly not seeing him.
I was on Wikipedia and I searched it and it didn't pop up. So I'm like, okay, there can be a mistake on Wikipedia. Let's go to the master site. And I'm scrolling through and I see Homa and Horschel and Howell and Sung J M.
Yeah, well.
Yep, no Mackenzie
Hughes.
Looks like
Mackenzie Hughes is going to have a tough time being top Canadian next week.
So, anyways, Sam Burns, he's Sam Burns, 24 years old, great ball striker, especially off the tee. He's jumped out to leads in a couple tournaments now. I want to say it was the Safeway that he had jumped out to a lead in September.
Yeah, I think so.
Obviously the guy has tons of talent. He's kind of at that learning how to put a tournament together, learning how to finish stage. And I just think a little bit of a step backwards there on Sunday today, that you kind of hate to see that.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. I guess he does have a web.com tour win, but he is so young that when you see these guys come up, and we're seeing a lot of them come up, like a few of our boys, but when you see them come up and they don't have those lower tour wins, it makes it hard to kind of, I feel like, break through for your first one on the PGA. I mean, he does have one, but usually these guys can rattle off a few on the Corn Ferry or web.com or wherever they're playing, right?
And I think that's sort of where you wonder whether it's someone who's a really good player but struggles to put it together for 72 holes. You know, we always talk about how good some of these top players are at scoring when they're playing badly, and just the efficiency of their golf game. But sometimes you do get the opposite. You get guys who are really good golfers, but they just are, they make mistakes when you're going to potentially be finishing in the top 3, and then they just make some mistakes and fall back a bit.
Yeah, totally. Anybody else you guys want to talk about that was in the field this week?
Two guys. Talor Gooch was the other one who tied the course record with a 63 today. He now has, I want to say he was about 4th or 5th, but he's got a couple top 10s in his last 3 starts. So he's really, it was not the Zozo, it was CJ Cup, I want to say, that he had a top 10. And so yeah, he's in good form. He's someone I think that to watch out for, that is going to be getting better and better here. And then the other one, Sepp Straka, he was one of my sleeper picks, so
he was
a little bit of a pat on the back, but unfortunately stumbled a bit coming home. He could have been a little bit higher up the board, but a good tournament for him, good top 10, and yeah.
All right, well, why don't we move on to the picks recap here? We didn't really do great with our winning picks. Scheffler, he was also Adams one and done. That's a T32, not a great showing. Probably not what you were hoping out of Scheffler there.
No, he looked good early on, but then a little bit too volatile down the stretch.
Yeah, Greg, you had Russell Henley as your one and done. T29, making up ground. Yeah,
every buck counts. Chip away.
Yeah.
He kind of faded, I want to say, on Friday or Saturday, but it looked early on like he might have something to do with this tournament, and then just kind of was middling in terms of people who had made the cut for most of the tournament. So
yeah,
at least if I'm highest of us this week, then I'm feeling pretty good.
Yep. Of course, I picked Stuart Sink to win, and as my one and done. Bit of a flyer there. He was a miscut. I thought maybe I could kind of sneak in a bit of a cheesy one and done with a bit of a lead and maybe grab a few safe bucks the way Stuart Sink has been playing lately. He's been in the top 10 a few times over the past couple
I'm
months.
saving Stuart Sink for later. So
yeah. Anyway, that strategy did not work out.
I have to say, I faded Brooks Koepka this week. I was feeling pretty good about it through a few days, and then yeah, he definitely turned it on.
Top five.
Obviously, we got to highlight Adam's huge sleeper.
I was about to interject and be like, are we going to talk about the fact that I picked the sleeper to win at 160 to 1?
Yeah, I mean, it's the pick. It's the pick of Grandstand golf so far.
I was going to say, I'm planting my flag as the longest pick to win so far. I hope I challenge you guys to find a deeper sleeper at some point through the year. But hey, there's a mark you got to reach for now.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Those don't come around very often.
Challenge accepted.
Listen, if you pick somebody to be the top Canadian, they're not even in the field for the tournament. If he is the top Canadian, I think that might take the cake. But anyway, I digress.
We might let you transfer to Weir. We'll see.
Hey, I'll take it.
You have to shift your one and done to Weir as well.
Oh no, I don't know. Craig and I both faded Adam Scott. I think Adam and I both faded Adam Scott. I think we're both hoping for a little fade bump for him there next week. Not really an Adam Scott fan. Really. No,
I am, but I don't.
He's not
I faded him for a reason. He doesn't have a top 20 yet, I think, this year. So
I'm hoping it's a bit of a rust shake off. The problem, I think, is that he actually looked better on Thursday than he did the rest of the week. He started off, I want to say maybe Thursday and Friday, he was decent, and then he kind of moved a little bit backwards on the weekend. Yeah. But especially his ball striking, he was striking the ball better. And one of the problems, he was coming off of a COVID break, and apparently he had been cooped up. So you kind of would like to see someone's ball striking get better as they get more reps. But it looks like he had that first round of the year swinging loosely, and things are working out. And then a couple rounds later, and you're like, oh no, I actually don't have this figured out.
Yeah, and the COVID break that he had there, that was the main reason I faded him. It's tough to come back after, you don't know what these guys are doing. It's come out, DJ's talked about how he pretty much spent 11 days in a hotel room.
Unless you're a freak like DJ, then
but I mean, 11 days in one room, all he did was walk from the balcony to the shower or back to the bed and watch TV. So
the thing about DJ that kind of like pisses me off is that DJ seems like one of those people that he could like be playing you at something that you have played your whole life and it's his first time, and he would just like casually beat you. Like, he's just one of those people. Maybe it's just how he kind of carries himself on the golf course, but he just seems like one of those people that like, oh yeah, like, that doesn't seem like a problem. Like, I don't understand why this is difficult.
Even when he's cooped up in his hotel room watching TV, he's probably watching TV better than I watch TV. Like, he's just better at everything he does.
Yeah. That reminds me of a guy we all know, Woody. He was always like that with any kind of game or sport or anything.
Yeah, just pick it up and
whoop you at it.
Yeah.
So top Canadian picks, you guys both had Corey Connors. I had Mackenzie Hughes. Obviously had a great Sunday. Catapulted him up. I think Connors kind of went the other way today, unfortunately.
He was actually borderline in contention this tournament, and just really fell off.
That's too bad. Adam, I guess, note here, Adam is the only one without a miscut in the one and done this year.
Yeah, that's right. Very consistently 30th to 20th placing, but
you're like the Adam Schenk of our
I am the Adam Schenk. Adam Scott, Adam Schenk, Adam Bapty. I mean, we all have that made cut streak and top 20s and 30s.
Actually, speaking of Schenk, I think he might have missed this week, didn't he?
He did.
Oh, the streak is over.
He was very popular in DFS, but
Craig, why don't we get into your good, your bad, and your ugly?
Okay, well, I don't know if you guys realized from looking at the good and bad and the ugly this week, but there is a commonality here.
Is it?
We've got all Masters winners.
Yeah, that's what.
So the good, first off,
I saw there.
We had my fellow fan of Netflix's Queen's Gambit, Phil Mickelson. He I mean, you really have to grasp at straws to find a good for Phil, but when you do something like make an eagle on your 36th hole before you're going to ugly miss a cut, then you definitely sneak a good in there in my books. So, yeah, if you haven't seen it, it's just like classic Phil. Like he's just beaten up by this round of golf and just cashes one.
He's just so good.
Yeah.
Like he's so talented, I should say. Like he really is just so talented. Yeah. He can hole out at any moment, really.
Yeah.
The decision making at this point is getting a little bit questionable, but
looser and looser.
Yeah. The bad
what was he 47.5-inch driver this week or something?
Yeah, he's experimenting with all kinds of craziness.
Yeah.
Danny Willett, the bad, pulled out after the first day with wrist injury. And I mean, I don't know how closely you guys have followed him since his Masters win, but he's been someone who has really struggled with injuries, mostly a back, but all kinds of things. So you just, there's nothing good. There's no pretensions of anything other than that being a bad thing. So hopefully, I don't know. We'll see if he's healthy and can play this week. But yeah, definitely not. Don't want to see that.
Those wrist injuries are really tough for golfers. You hate to see it.
And they can linger, and there can be all kinds of ugliness there. Speaking of ugliness, so this one to me is just. This is ugly. So Adam and I, next week, we've got a little bit of a wager with two former Masters winners because we kind of have different ideas about who's in better form in the last little bit. But Sergio Garcia and Jordan Spieth. I was kind of hoping one of them would do something to make them look like the clear favorite going into next week, but both of them just really, really, really uninspiring missed cuts. Ended up +4 and +5. Just on the edge. The cut line was +3.
Wait, who was +4 and who was +5?
So Spieth took Garcia this week. So basically the ugliness is we've got this awesome, we're going to be paying more attention to Garcia and Spieth next week than I feel like we'll even care about who wins the tournament.
Oh man, it's going to be a nail biter, I think.
It's just going to be a pillow fight.
But it's going to be one with huge swings. It's going to be like eagle, triple bogey, birdie. They're not going to Henrik Stenson par their way around a course. They're going to be all over the place.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have some drama with those two. There's no doubt about it.
I think what I was really looking for with the ugly was Spieth decided to make a birdie with 2 holes to go to take the win over Garcia. So I'm expecting something like that's going to happen next week, and I'm going to get hosed.
It's going to be back to back, baby.
Sergio does have a storied history at Augusta, including the highest score ever on a hole. Sometimes he just says, I'm going to hit this shot, all right?
It's tough to know who has more blow-up potential, actually.
That's true. I mean, Spieth has a history of it as well, doesn't he?
Yeah. Oof.
All right, Adam, why don't you get into your 3 stars here?
All right, 3 stars. My 3rd star is Hideki Matsuyama. We talked about him a little bit up the top. Really good round today, 7 under, finished tied for 2nd. He was threatening really most of the day. But kind of takeaways going into Augusta. He had 21 birdies in the tournament, which was actually first. So something I really like to see. He was 6th in strokes gained tee to green. But then, I talked about this, but he's 11th in putting and was positive every single day. And, you talk about someone like Sergio Garcia. If Hideki can do that at Augusta, I don't know. Maybe it's finally his time.
Yeah, that's true. If Hideki, we've said it before on the podcast, if Hideki can just putt average, he would win a lot. So if he can be 11th in putting next week, I'd say watch out for Hideki.
Yeah. My 2nd star, DJ Dustin Johnson. We talked about him a little bit, but recent form. So starting with his 2nd this week, T6 US Open, T3 2nd, 1st, T2 PGA Championship. Since the summer, he just hasn't been worse than tied for 6th at the US Open.
So this is what I was saying.
That's where I got him on my one and done too. Come on.
I was making the case for him in our DFS. I don't care that he's coming off of COVID. When DJ's in the field, you play him, and
he has to be the favorite going into Augusta now. Like there's no way Bryson should be.
I agree. It's Bryson's still there, but how can you not? I can't believe Dustin was none of our picks.
Well, so I was talking about that with Adam earlier today. Basically, like, I was so close to one and doneing Dustin Johnson. Like, the only reason I didn't pick him to win next week was because I didn't want to have my pick to win. I wanted to keep my cards close to my chest, and I was very close to picking him for the one and done, and so I had to have my pick to win locked in before I confirm my one and done. If we were coming, if I was able to pick we were doing our normal timing for our one and done, I probably would have gone DJ. His Masters history is awesome. There's so many things to like about him.
He is a co-favorite now. He's 8-1 now with DeChambeau. Yeah.
Craig was doing the classic misdirection. Look over here at Xander, and then pull up with a DJ. Oh, actually, DJ's my one and done.
That would have been good. Sneaky, it would have been.
I still think Xander's gonna win, but I'm just gonna take DJ for the one and done.
I mean, he's so good. Like, it just blows my mind. How does he only have one major? And when does he get his second? Apparently, Kevin, he's gonna get the next 5, but
he might. That's what I said. He might.
It starts with Augusta.
All right, Adam. Who's the first star?
First star, Carlos Ortiz. I mean, 160-1. I feel like I can't take the grin off my face right now. I don't think I've ever had a sports bet or like a pick work out that well from long odds. He moved up from 159.
Sounds like you are wanting to be the first star, not.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Long odds. What were the odds you got about, Adam? I forgot.
4.5. We're top 20. Oh man, you guys.
Anyways, Ortiz. Tell us about Ortiz. He had an awesome win.
Amazing win. 159th in the world. Moved him up to 65th. He's just 29. He's been grinding it as a professional golfer. He had 3 wins. That's what I was talking about. He had 3 wins on the web.com, which is now the Corn Ferry in 2014. Has been a PGA Tour ever since, but this is like his real breakthrough win. At PGA Tour since 2015, I mean, he's kind of that classic in that 125 area. He's only played in 3 major championships. So it's just like, you get this win, you hold off, these major champions in Brooks, in Lowry, in DJ, in Matsuyama, one of the best players in the world, and you get your win in that fashion. I'm just so excited for him to see it's that next step we always talk about, and it opens so many doors for him.
Yeah. It's huge to get that first.
I've got 2 last takes on Ortiz before we move on. First off, love it when you have someone in a different language, like yelling at the ball or talking to their caddy. I don't even know what he's saying half the time, but he's like, Kaye, Kaye, Kaye. I love it. I'm like, he wants the ball to do something. Other one, like, I don't know if you guys got, like, after what was going on in your life and with your kids, and whether you were able to see after he finished, but I want to say either fiance or wife there at the end, like, those two, you can just tell, like, they are in love. Like, there's just the comfort level. Like, every chance he had, he was giving her another hug. Like, I'd love to see that kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for that too.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to see it, but I'm a sucker for it. You know what else I really liked that he did? I noticed on a few putts on a couple benders. I love how he gets behind the hole, right onto the fall line, kind of, and watching that in.
The last one, I feel like he did it.
The last one he did it, and just dead centered it, of course. But anything else on Ortiz before we move on?
No, let's wipe our hands.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to talk for my golf insight here. I'm going to talk about my boy, Robert McIntyre, getting it done at the Aphrodite Hills Cyprus Showdown.
Shout out to Aphrodite Hills. Yeah.
They're the MVP of Cyprus golf resorts, for sure.
2 weeks in a row they've been there.
So, yeah, that's great. Now let's talk about McIntyre a little bit here. McIntyre shot a final round 64. It was a unique format. So in this format, it was the top 32 after 36 holes. So he went out strong.
Which was about a third of the field.
Yeah. So he went out strong and shot a 65 to start and kind of coasted right into the middle of that group. And then on Saturday, or the third round, they reset, and then they shaved the field down in half again. He finished kind of right in the middle there again, and they reset again on Sunday. So everybody starts at even, and he shot a 64 today to take it. He went birdie over the final 2 holes. And I don't know if you guys saw the highlights from this, but the shot he hit on 17, I mean, how did it not
he
go
almost
in?
sold out?
Yeah.
All over the... Yeah.
Like, talk about clutch. I don't know if he knew exactly where he was at in comparison to the... Because I believe the guy who was in front of him was already on 18, and he birdied 18. So I don't know if he knew he needed to go birdie, but, I mean, he knew he was right by the top, and he needed to hit a good shot, and he hit a great shot. Tap in birdie, got on the 18th hole, par 5 and 2, and 2-putted for another birdie, and so that's his first European Tour win. Did you guys get a chance to see some of the highlights from that, or see his
I did. I think it's
post-round
kind of
interview
a cool format. I don't know how it could be changed or kind of used on a PGA Tour event. I mean, you think of like a Tour Championship or something like that, where they don't want to go match play, but you do want to shave the field down. Because it has these people fire at pins. Like, it doesn't matter.
You have to be, like, to win that thing, you have to be in one round. You have to be the best of 16 guys.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And 18 was a par 5, so I think he knew that it was probably going to be a birdie hole, so he probably had to make moves. And just fire at the pin and almost get a hole in one. That's awesome.
Yeah. So and in his post-round interview there, I don't know if you guys saw that, but he was close to tears at one point, and I guess he spoke about how he's been having a really hard time over the past few months, and how his family's been instrumental. But he kind of dove into that further later on, and I guess it's been the pandemic really. He said about 9 or 10 weeks, 8 or 9 weeks into the break, he was doing okay. He had goals he was working towards, but then it was just very hard. Mentally, it's very hard to be kind of shackled down a little bit especially when you're young and ambitious, and you're trying to, he's just at the start of his career, like I was talking about in our My Boys podcast. To have to kind of be held down, and people are telling you can't do things, and you don't know what the future holds. I mean, people are dealing with that everywhere in all walks of life, and it affected Robert, and he was pretty open about it, and how much his family's helped, and he's seen somebody to help him kind of shape his mental approach as well, and how much that all paid off. And awesome. Yeah, it was just really, really nice. He's extremely likable. It was really nice to see him get his first win, and I just hope, like I said in the My Boys, I'm stoked for him. I hope this just kind of keeps him moving along that trajectory his career has been on. This is supposed to get him up to about 62 in the world, and this might not be according to the rules, but I think I'm gonna slide him into my top Canadian pick for next week.
Well, was he in the tournament? Maybe you should confirm that.
No, I don't think he's in the tournament. He's not a Canadian, but at this point, what's the difference?
Yeah.
That's actually surprising, because he got 6 at the Open. Maybe that was 2 Opens ago now. I might be... but yeah, first
you know what? He probably is in the field next week. I should probably take a look at this before I say anything else.
So he was 6 at the one in 2019.
I just want to give a shout out to myself for being the one that picked him in our European Tour picks video. So we've done 3 of those now, and
so how much did you make off that?
I don't have any
30 to 1.
30 to 1 were his odds. So it's not 160 to 1, but
so we have My Boys winning in 2 of the last 3 weeks, right? With Bobby Mack and Cantlay, and then we had a sleeper and a Euro Tour pick. Whew, we're hot.
Not to mention we had a course record today. Let's give Hughes a little love.
That's kind of a reach, but I mean, so did Hideki. What about Craig?
Yeah, well, We already talked about that. I guess
I did. Hideki's not looking for course record runner-ups. He's looking for a major. So
I like it.
We'll give him a shout out when he gets there.
All right, guys, let's move into stock up, stock down. Craig, why don't you start us off?
Okay, so I'm looking at people who are playing next week. And first off, we are going stock up with Francesco Molinari. He was definitely a part of the Masters story last year.
In a big way, yeah.
15 was kind of the turning point for him when he
clipped that branch.
Yeah. But anyways, another lucky Tiger Woods sequence of events led to him.
Oh yeah.
But no, so we actually since the Masters, he's had all kinds of struggles. We have not seen him in very good form for quite a while now.
We haven't seen him for
we didn't see him for quite a while.
Period.
We talked about that on a podcast a few episodes ago about how he was just kind of getting back out there. Craig, I actually had him penciled in as my stock up until I saw you had him there as well. I thought it's awesome that he had a good week coming into the majors, or the Masters, I should say. This is his first major because he didn't play in the last two, and
out of his choice, he
choice.
decided not to play at the PGA Championship.
So like Craig says, he has a history here. Like, it's good to see his game's in shape, and who knows, he could be sneaky. He's not. I was just looking. I can't beat that 160, but he is sitting at.
So he's 110.
110, yeah.
So that's where he was, because he was almost my sleeper. But I was like, we still haven't seen him really play that great. But we saw it this weekend. He ended up -4, -5. -5 in the tournament, tied for 15th. But really, just it's less so his finish. It's more so just we saw really good play from him, and that's ultimately if he can carry some of that momentum over into next week, then I think you have to like him more coming out of this week than you did going in.
I think he's the only player in the field that has played in the Masters and also caddied in the Masters.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Eduardo back. I mean,
that's cool.
What would that be? Early 2000s, kind of.
I'm not sure. They had a pretty sweet picture floating around last year.
Yeah,
where he's caddying in the group on the 12th tee, I think it was, and then Tiger.
He just looks so young, and it's like, I don't know, you like what's going through his mind that day. Like, my brother's here, but like I could play here one day too. Like it's so cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. All right, Craig, who do you have moving down?
So moving down, Lee Westwood. I didn't want to be doing this, but. He came out and he had a bad start to the week. He did improve a bit with a 69 on Friday, but he was a ways from the cut line. It looked like he was in decent form on the European Tour prior to coming in here, and so I'm a little bit less excited about him than I was going into this week.
This is perfect, perfectly Westwood. He could not have scripted this better because he gets all the attention away from him with that horrible round on Thursday. But I mean, on Friday, Craig, he was positive 1.75 tee to green.
What was he on Thursday?
He pulled your misdirection. He's going to show everyone, oh, look, I'm playing bad. Boom. Masters.
So Lee Westwood's biggest problem is that he has too much fanfare heading into Augusta.
Hey, everyone's been chattering about him as a sleeper. I'm like, hey, back off my sleeper, all right?
So this is what you're saying is he's right where you want him.
All I'm saying is Westwood and Spieth did what they needed to do. Miss the cut.
Give themselves extra time to prepare.
Yeah.
All right, Adam. Well, with that backwards way of thinking, I'm interested to see who you have moving up and moving down this week.
Okay, my stock up, Brooks Koepka. We already talked about him enough. So, I mean, he's coming off that injury. He finished 6th. I mean, it's all good signs going into Augusta. I don't think there's any reason he should be a fade. So I mentioned Hideki Matsuyama was first with 21 birdies. Brooks was actually second. He had 20. He was second stroke swing putting. Yeah, that's a volatile stat, but sometimes guys can just ride a hot putter. So my stock up is Brooks. He looks good. Doesn't look like there's any lingering injury issues. I think you're kind of crazy to fade him.
I had to lock that. Yes, I would be crazy to fade him now.
I'm coming to Craig's defense here a little bit. It's not his fault that the guy wasn't playing that great and then shoots a 65 the day after. It's a classic fade bump. I mean, bulletin board material. We've already talked about it.
I feel like it's just Brooks doing Brooks things too. Like major time, like, oh shoot, I didn't realize that was next week. I better start playing better. I like this stock up.
Yep. Yeah. I think he deserves it.
Yeah. Stock down, Luke List. This is more of a DFS one for me. So I had my main lineup and I was kind of sweating EVR, Eric Van Rooyen, and Luke List to make the weekend. And EVR did enough and he got through. But Luke List, he was in the AM group on Friday and he just needed to kind of coast into the weekend with the +3. We knew the cut was going to move back. But he was going into 16. I think it's the par 5 with water. And guess what? He found the water. Double bogey there. I'm like, oh, here we go. Like, another miscut. But then he gets my hopes up with a birdie on 17. So I'm like, oh, Luke List, here you go. Like, you're going to squeak through.
Gets him inside the cut line.
Yeah. But then bogey's 18. And I'm like, okay, there we go. Just a roller coaster of emotions in 3 holes there. But just a pure DFS play or pick for me. My stock down is Luke List.
It's a good thing you're a Chargers fan, so you're pretty steeled against that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I get pretty numb to the pain these days.
Yeah. I hear that, Adam. Vikings don't have much better history. All right, well, moving up for me this week is my boy Robert McIntyre. Again, with the big win, first win on the European Tour. I'm really hoping that McIntyre can carry this momentum, get some more strong finishes under his belt, perhaps another win, another couple wins. It can just get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And who knows? We might be seeing Robert McIntyre on the PGA Tour if he gets his world ranking high enough, and he easily can if he keeps playing like this. Then maybe we'll see him on the PGA Tour.
I think
and we'll
he
see
may
a lot
have
more of him.
expressed a desire to as well. I could be wrong on that, but I just remember reading about him when I was looking at him as a pick this week, and it was saying he's just bought a flat in the place where his parents live. And he's like, yeah, I think talking about how like he potentially wants to play in the States at some point, but his home's always going to be there,
Yeah. But he's only 24 years old too, so he's it's not like he's doesn't have a chance to get to the PGA Tour anymore or anything like that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He's got tons of time, and I think this is a great start.
It also just depends. Like some of these guys, they're happy to come over for the biggest tournaments, and they they don't necessarily want to spend all year in the States, and they want to come over for the WGCs and the majors, and that's fine too. It's ultimately whatever works, but hopefully he can play his way into giving himself the option.
Yeah, I think once you're in the top 50 in the world, you get into a lot of stuff. You're
just automatically.
Yeah, I think so. And so I think that's a big number for these guys to hit.
Yeah.
And like you say, it's nice to see my other boy, Mackenzie Hughes, get in there this week. So for my stock down, I don't remember what the rules are. Can I take Stuart Sink? My one and done who missed the cut, or
I don't know if he's stock down. I think he's just stock. You totally missed.
Yeah.
But I'll let it pass, Stuart. He's had a good year. I was just trying to parlay that into a cheap little one and done pick, but never mind. I'm not down on him. I just want to preface it by saying that I've been talking a lot about my boys on this episode. My other boy, Tony Finau, not down on him. He's my one and done pick for next week. But with that said, unlike Adam, who's when his guys perform poorly, he says they're right where he wants them. Finau, he was a little uninspiring today. So his rounds this week were 69, 69, 68. He was kind of right there. I wasn't necessarily expecting him to charge and win this week, but I would have liked to see something different than a 71 on Sunday. Right. He went out on the front 9 today with 4 bogeys, offset by 1 birdie, so he was 3 over on the front 9. He ended up shooting 1 over on the day. He fell 16 spots. It's just, it's not the kind of finish you would have liked to see. Even if you just could add another solid round in there and have good vibes heading into Augusta. He did play a 2 under back 9, which I guess is good. It was just a 1-9 this week that really was poor, but I would have liked to see Finau kind of run through that finish line a little bit more this week.
Yeah.
It just a little bit.
I have a little bit more confidence in his green jacket moment.
Exactly.
A week from now, right?
Yeah, I was pretty high on him coming into this week, and so it also seems like it's the type of course that you think would set up fairly well. So it's disconcerting, I would say. So
anyway, definitely not down on him, but it was enough of a prickle in the back of my, the back of my whatever, I guess I'd pick with my gut, so a prickle in the back of my gut.
the kidney area, or?
Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Let's talk some more about the upcoming tournament. Obviously, it's what we've been kind of alluding to the whole time. The Masters is next week. We officially start. Does Masters Week start at midnight tonight? Has it started already?
I think they're lighting up Twitter and whatever else right now. It's Masters Week. We are in Masters Week.
A lot of the big names that weren't playing this week arrived today, or
do we like pop champagne? Like it's Masters Week.
Yeah, been waiting a long time. So Adam? Why don't you quickly go over your picks from our pick preview last week?
Yeah, so we did a whole Masters preview pod, so you can find that, and we go in depth into our picks. But just quickly recapping mine, my pick to win was Rory McIlroy. My sleeper, Lee Westwood, who's in prime position right now. My fade is Colin Morikawa. My top Canadian, Adam Hadwin, who is in the tournament next week. And my
that's a plus at this point.
And my one and done, I'm sticking with Rory. My one and done is Rory. He's gonna complete the career Grand Slam.
Craig, why don't you follow that up with your picks?
Okay, pick to win, Xander. Told you why over there. You can get it there. Cameron Smith is my sleeper at 80-1.
He didn't play this week, did he?
No, he wasn't this week. Cameron Davis, however, had a pretty ugly week this week, but that's another story. Brooks Koepka, my fade. If you haven't already put money on him, or if you haven't already faded him, I guess pump the brakes on that fade, because I do not stand by that fade. And the one thing on that fade, I did say, if you disagree with what I'm saying right now, go put money on him, because the only thing his line is going to do is get better if he plays well on the weekend.
That's true.
That's a good call. Yeah.
You did say that.
And top Canadian, Corey Connors.
What about your one and done pick? That was a little controversial.
Oh, yeah, controversial. Patrick Reed. I don't know why it's controversial, but one and done, Patrick Reed.
You just it kind of came out of nowhere.
It just sideswiped you guys.
Patrick Reed in golf, when it's not controversial.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just confident he's going to be able to do a good job improving his lie out there. And
yeah. Again, go to the preview pod. It's all there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my picks for next week are Justin Thomas to win. Ian Poulter is my sleeper at 140-1. My fade is Bryson DeChambeau, and I am standing by that fade. And then my top Canadian is not in the tournament, so
you apply your flag on Mike Weir.
I will.
TBD.
If you guys are willing to allow me to swap that to Mike Weir, I would happily do that at this point. So I guess my top Canadian is Mike Weir, and my one and done pick is my boy Tony Finau. I think he's gonna have a strong showing next week. So yeah, I mean, again, Craig obviously is just backpedaling as hard as he can with his fade there, which is fair enough. Other than Brooks looking good, we mentioned already Dustin Johnson is a glaring omission at this point. Anybody else you guys think from this week or
I do want to quickly mention for top Canadian, we've mentioned everyone but Nick Taylor.
Yeah.
Nick Taylor's in the tournament as well. Abbotsford, BC native. So
yeah.
I mean, Kevin, I'll allow you some time after the pod to review who you want.
Oh no, he doesn't get Nick Taylor. He gets Weir or he gets Hughes.
Yeah, I'll take Weir at 1,000-1.
1,000-1. Man, that'd be such a good hit.
That would be a nice hit.
So I guess less so for picks, but one that I'm going to look at, we're going to be doing our DFS videos here in the next couple days. Someone who intrigues me, they didn't fade, but I need to sort of do a reevaluation on is Tyrrell Hatton. I do think he sets up well. I do think he is someone who shows up in big tournaments, and he kind of did enough to catch your attention, make sure he's not in a bad place, but not so much that I think his ownership's going to shoot up because of how he did this week. So it's kind of that perfect spot for DFS.
Yeah, I mean, I like it as well.
And then Molinari would be the other one that definitely jumped up. And again, especially on a DFS fronting for me, that he's cheap. And so the question mark will be does his ownership shoot up because he had a good week here.
The one thing I was going to say is I think what did we set our sleepers at, 70 or 80 to 1 and
I
over?
think we bumped it. We typically do 80 to 1. We're all above 80 to 1.
I did want to say that I feel like there's a lot of guys in the 50 to 80 to 1 that actually look really good. Just quickly looking there's Justin Rose, there's Oosthuizen, Fitzpatrick. We've talked about offline. A few guys in that kind of 50 to 70 range that I wouldn't be surprised to see their name really high on the leaderboard and possibly pull an upset.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Adam. So I think it's our intention that this week we're going to be releasing our favorite bets. As soon as we kind of get a more complete picture of what some of the betting lines are, because they're not out on a lot of this.
We just have outright win at this point, and we want a little bit more than that.
Yep. So we'll kind of dive deeper into a lot of those things. Top tens, cuts made, those types of bets. I know Adam's always been a big parlay guy, so I'm sure he'll have some classics for you.
Juicy parlays.
Some classic 50-part parlay.
Yeah. A cup of coffee bet could change your life, buy you a house.
Yeah, you'll want to listen to that.
Yeah,
it's gonna be good.
Anything else you guys want to touch on before we close it down for this one?
No, I need to start working on the content for this week, so let's get to it.
Just dive right in, right?
Yeah, all right, I feel
sorry, go ahead, Adam.
I was gonna say I feel like it's not gonna be a lot of sleep, just with content to push out and anticipation like Christmas morning on Wednesday night. It's gonna be.
I know.
It's gonna be a fun week.
I can't wait. All right. Well, thanks for listening. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Check out these guys on YouTube. They're always pumping out content. They had a great week this week with their DFS sleepers.
Some would say even arguably better than Robert McIntyre and Carlos Ortiz.
I mean, yeah. Can you get much better than that? Let's be honest here. Anyways, it's been great. We look forward to talking golf with you in the future. And take care, everybody.
See you guys.
Yeah, see you next time.